The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hello everyone, it is Mark Kelly here. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope you're doing well, and we are very, very happy. Our ServiceNow podcast series for Alldus. And if you haven't listened to the episode before where Martin has joined us in the past, you're in for an absolute treat. Martin Ivanov is joining us again, and it's been a while since he's been on the show. If you don't know Martin, Martin is currently a solution architect at Do It Wise, which is now part of the Inetum Group, and who are a ServiceNow elite partner. And he is a ServiceNow certified technical architect. He's a 3 by ServiceNow MVP, a knowledge speaker, and he is regularly providing so much value within the ServiceNow community. And it feels like, Martin, in the last 12 to 24 months, you've even amplified that by threefold. Martin, thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, Mark, thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a while since we last spoke, so let's see what has changed since then.
Yeah, so we last met face-to-face in Knowledge 2023, which was absolutely fantastic, incredible experience at the time. I think there was probably close to 20,000 people that were there. We then had Knowledge 24, which my colleagues were asked, and they said it was even better. What have you been up to for the last kind of 12 months or so? It feels like the content that you're sharing most recently has been really pinpointed. So much value is coming from it. It seems like you've unearthed a new way to communicate. Yeah,
so because of this content, last time we spoke, I was a Rising Star. Since then, I actually conquered the highest peak in the ServiceNow community, becoming an MVP in 2023, and this continued in 2024. So I had the pleasure to visit the Knowledge Conference last year and this year as well. Another major milestone in my career was the CTA, the Certified Technical Architect certification that I completed. This is the second most important certification in the ecosystem. Going through this certification actually gave me a lot of things. First, it gave me the complete picture of what an architect does and how it should behave in front of the customers during the workshops and so on. But another equally important part is the network. Actually, the training is a cohort-based program, and I was lucky enough to be in a group with very skilled and very experienced people, which afterwards became my friends. And we are in a regular contact ever since then. Maybe the third milestone was the opportunity to be a knowledge speaker last year in 2023. It came because of the MVP title, and I got the chance to co-host a session at Knowledge, and this was an experience like no other in my life so far. I was both before the speech, I was both excited and constrained of what is ahead with all these people listening and watching me, but it went really well, and I got, if I get another chance, I will definitely take it.
What is wonderful about that journey that you've been on is you've been able to hit these milestones and kind of learning along the way, but sharing your journey as you're going on that. From people that have spoken about the CTA, it's so intense. There's so much involvement in it. In some ways, that cohort are your competitors because you're there for other partners. But like what you said, they build really strong relationships from it. That mutual respect comes from going on that journey. And you've obviously built those relationships as well and being part of that kind of unique group.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, as you said, it's really competitive. It's a 3-month program, really intense. They are advertising that you need to spend 8 to 10 hours a week. This is absolutely not true. If you want to do well, like in any other thing, you just need to invest yourself and spend a lot of time on it.
Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're actually seeing in the market now and how you've been able to share the content across your podcast, user group, while also kind of sharing those unique case studies to bring it alive for people that want to now have impact?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of different things around my content. As you mentioned, the podcast is one thing that recently started doing. Me and my manager Trifon, which is the co-host of the podcast, we work in the architectural department here at Do IT Wise, and we saw a niche on the market. There's not a lot of content being created when it comes to ServiceNow architecture, and we decided to fulfill this niche and give it a try. We started our podcast. It is called Matrix. Feel free to check it out. Our second episode has just been published this week, and we talk about the way that we do architecture, the way that we document our solutions, the way that we document the customer processes, and so on. And it's something that at least I have not seen any other people doing it in the ServiceNow ecosystem. Apart from the podcast, there was a long-living dream in my head to start a local ServiceNow meetup with the goal to gather people who have the same passion, the same interest, and create a knowledge-sharing environment, which, let's be honest, is kind of limited in our part of the world. For now, it is going really well. We already had 3 editions. The first one was with Jack Tomazi, so he accepted my invite. He opened the whole thing with a nice speech. I'm really thankful for that one. And I'm really happy with the amount of people that we are gathering. The last 2 editions were actually in person in our office. We were having knowledge sharing sessions and some networking with some pizza and beer afterwards. And I can say that we are gathering around 30 people, which is quite a lot.
And it's a nice number of people that you can still interact, share, have small little pockets of groups to chat about as well. Because sometimes when the numbers get too big, it can become impersonal.
Yeah, correct. Maybe a third thing that I forgot to mention is the ServiceNow Guru. For those of you who don't know, ServiceNow Guru is one of the oldest private ServiceNow blogs with a ton of high quality content. Basically, this is a site that I've been learning from throughout my career. And this site is run by Mark Stanger, who recently decided to give a chance to more people to have their own subpage on the site. And when I saw the opportunity, the announcement, I thought that I'm not good enough to apply. But one of the former MVPs, Bernie Alvarado, reached out to me and say, "Hey, did you see the announcement? You should definitely apply." And this is how it happened. My first article is already out, and I'm working on a second now one.
It's interesting, Martin, that you would have that mindset of not feeling quite ready to apply, even though you've invested so much work into developing yourself, developing the community, adding so much value, but there's still that element of doubt. But you're risen up by someone else actually saying, "Listen, I believe in you. You should go forward for this," and hence it probably gave you the confidence to apply.
Yeah, and this is something which only the ServiceNow community can give you. So we, being MVPs and being present in the community together with the Rising Stars, we are trying to boost each other, to give us each other's confidence. And this is how it works. I've been inspired by so many people in the community, and I hope that I'm actually inspiring other people afterwards.
Yeah, because you're encouraging your peers to celebrate their wins, talk about their journey, their good, bad, and indifferent. Then you're having that kind of online presence, but also then you're having that in-person conversations, beer and pizza, and ultimately you're stepping outside the comfort zone, which is kind of scary in some ways, but then empowering as well. So you're being that voice in the community, but you're also day-to-day delivering to customers, and that is pretty exhausting too, because you need to stay up to date with current trends, topics, you need to stay relevant, but also our customers may not be ready for the latest and greatest applications because everyone's journey is different. How do you stay up to speed with it all and then being relevant across your products?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So ServiceNow is expanding its capabilities big time with every family release, which is happening every 6 months. So basically now it is impossible to be up to speed with everything. and we just need to decide in which direction we need to go and just go deeper and deeper on that direction. Of course, you may have heard about the concept of T-shaped professional. So you're going one shape deep, and with the other things you need just go to have a basic knowledge, the wide knowledge, and be prepared if something comes on the table to discuss it. But yeah, it's impossible to be deep in everything that ServiceNow is producing.
And we were talking a little bit off here about some of the kind of trends that are impacting companies and some of the people want to kind of take on board. And kind of since COVID, CSM has really become important.
Yeah, absolutely right. Since COVID, a lot of services actually became digital, and this created the demand for these services to be requestable, to be maintainable with the customer in mind. And as you said, the CSM is the solution that ServiceNow provides, and it is not accidental that ServiceNow has actually expanded its with multiple verticals like FSO for banking, for insurance, healthcare, services, and telco, and so on. Basically, now everyone is consuming digital products with their phones, with their laptops. No one is nowadays going to the offices and doing things with the front desks, and ServiceNow is aiming to cover this demand, and it's doing quite good, as I think.
Yeah, because when we think about it, we're all digitally, we're watching Netflix, we're ordering Uber Eats, we're buying things on Amazon or Zalando. So to be pushing paper and walking into an environment that isn't digital, the experience is that's just not up to scratch now.
Yeah, this is the digital, the modern world that we live in, and as I said, ServiceNow is doing and it's trying to cover each and every niche that is out there. You haven't been to Knowledge this year, but they have presented a use case where a local grocery store, a bakery actually, is driven by ServiceNow with the capabilities to predict related to the weather forecast, if the day is going to be rainy or sunny, and based on that to predict the amount of bakeries that needs to be produced. And it was quite a good example, a little bit fictitious because it's looking way forward in the time, but I believe that at some point everything will be automated with all the sensors and all the information that we have available out there.
Yeah, and these things are important because the world around us, these things are going to make an impact to people's decision making in terms of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, and spotting trends to allow us to make better decisions is ultimately what ServiceNow is about, and kind of removing those frictions from the workflows. One of the other trends that's talked an awful lot about, and we've seen substantial amount of money invested in companies last year, particularly on research, is generative AI and some of these products that are being embedded into the ServiceNow platform. Is it too early for customers to really start reaping the benefits of them, or how are you seeing it playing out currently?
Yeah, it depends on a viewpoint, but undoubtedly there is a huge potential in GenAI. Unfortunately, so far I don't see that many customers who are going to implement it or are already started implementing it. Be it because of the price tag, because let's be honest, it's a little bit high, or because of the lack of maturity in their organizations. I don't know. It has definitely a huge potential. One of the potential use cases is the case summarization or the route predictions when it comes to CSM and FSO. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what this thing is going to do in the future. But for now, unfortunately, I don't see that big adoption rate with our current customers.
Yeah, as you see more companies having case studies, sharing success, you'll start to see probably the adoption rate increasing. We're seeing some benefits from customers talking about it, but probably Gen AI across enterprises are probably around 10%. So again, that's a lot of companies still trying to figure out how to make the most applicable, relevant use cases for their company. And using AI isn't necessarily a straightforward thing. You need to have proper use cases to want to put it out on. But once you get the benefits and the business starts to become more of a focus on around AI, it can start to be very infectious for additional applications to come. We've talked an awful lot about yourself and the community, the mindset, sharing, Tell us a little bit about your day job and some of the work that you're actually doing with Do It Wise, part of the Inetum Group.
Yeah, so with Do It Wise, as you mentioned, we are now an elite partner of ServiceNow, and we have grown our ServiceNow teams in Europe big time this and the previous year. So we are now around 400 to 500 specialists focused only on ServiceNow. We're getting quite a lot of projects together with ServiceNow. When it comes to my daily job, it's a little bit different from what I was doing when I was a developer. Now my responsibilities come to the point where I need to discuss with the customer potential solutions, identify foundation data strategies, naming conventions, governance on the platform, designing different integrations or how the different applications interact with each other. And of course, this is a little bit more of a customer focused work, while the development work is, you sit together with your task, with your story, and just develop it. Now it has shifted. It has a little bit more customer interaction, which is exciting because every different company, every different industry vertical is quite interesting to be explored. And this is actually giving me the boost to do this on a daily basis, because it is not boring. One customer is in the automotive, another customer is in banking, the third one is in manufacturing, and this is an uninterrupted learning curve for me, which is driving me on a daily basis.
Although those three industries are obviously very diverse and they've got so many different nuances to what they do and the different compliance level, fundamentally they're trying to improve customer experience and employee experience, right?
Right, yeah. When it comes to employee experience, HRSD is something which is also growing a lot during the few years, the last few years. The tremendous change that they introduced with the employee service center replacing part of the old-fashioned portal is also really well accepted, and I'm also looking forward to see how the customers are going to consume this potential capability of ServiceNow.
Martin, before we've kind of close up, and it's always been a pleasure chatting with you, tell us a little bit about your next event that you'll be talking at and attending, and what's coming down the track.
Well, it is not really scheduled, but the closest one will be the ServiceNow meetup here in Bulgaria that I mentioned previously. This is going to happen at some point in early Q3. I hope that we will have a good speech, a good guest, and a technical session, and I hope that more people will come, more than these 30 that I mentioned. And of course, looking a little bit forward in the future, I hope to have the chance to go to Knowledge next year. It is going to happen again in May in Las Vegas, and I hope to see you, Mark, there, and the Alldus team as well.
Martin, thank you so much for your time today. Martin Ivanov. Martin is an MVP, CTA, knowledge speaker, solution architect at Do It Wise, part of the Inetum Group. Always lovely to catch up. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.